In this lesson, we'll be looking at investments with equal payments, and basically all the same rules apply, except in the previous lesson, working with the TVM solver, we were gathering loans. So with investments, we're doing something different. We're paying money out, and our present value when we have an investment, unless we make an initial investment, we're usually starting our present value at 0. And the future value is how much money we're going to end up with at the end of the period that we invest for. Same rules apply. Payments should be negative because they're out of pocket. Or if you have an initial investment, like if you have to put in $500 or $1,000 to start, that would also be negative because you're taking that out of your pocket and putting it into the investment. So let's look at the first example. We just are going to go through the information and fill in our boxes here, and whatever is left at the end, it should match up to whatever the question is. And then we're going to use our TVM solver to figure the last component of that. So every month, Manish is going to deposit $30 into an investment fund that pays 5% compounded annually. If he does this for 15 years, how much will he have in the fund? Okay, so every month, this isn't like our typical payment statement that says he's going to make monthly payments. This is where you have to read a little bit more carefully. It says every month Manish is going to deposit, so that's our payments per year. So every month means there's 12 months in a year. He's going to, and his payments will be $30 per year. So we have negative 30 for our payments per month into an investment fund that pays 5%. So 5 goes on here. Again, we don't write it as a decimal, just as a regular 5. Then we see compounded, so we know that's our compounding periods. Look to the right, annually, that means once a year. So again, just make sure we're going to have to make sure that the compounding periods doesn't automatically change to 12 before we try and solve. If he does this for 15 years, okay, so now we're looking at our N, and remember our N is our payments per year times the number of years that we're going to be doing this. And our payments per year was 12 from down here. And the number of years is 15. So 12 times 15 gives us 180. So 180. And now this is saying, okay, how much will he have in the fund? So that's the future value. At the end of 15 years, how much will he have? That's what we're trying to find. And our present value is 0 because initially there was no money in that investment. So now we have our box filled out. We can go to our TVM solver. Again, we go to apps. It says finance, press enter. TVM solver is highlighted, press enter. And whatever's in here, we can just type over. So our N was 180. Our interest was 5%, so 5 goes in there. Our present value was 0. Our payment was $30 a month, so we press this negative button first, negative 30. Our future value is what we're trying to solve, so we're just going to skip over that and go straight down to payments per year. 12, and our compounding per year is 1. So just remember, payments per year is 12. If you press enter, sometimes that will change to a 12. So just make sure it stays 12 and 1. It is. Now we want to solve for future value. We go up to future value. Alpha, enter, gives us $7,944. So at the end of 15 years, Manish is going to have $7,944.74 in the fund. Okay, next example. Tanya initially deposits $500 into a fund that pays 6% interest compounded semi-annually. She also deposits an additional $75 into the fund at the end of each month. If she does this for 10 years, how much will she have in the fund? Okay, so she initially deposits $500 into the fund. So an initial deposit that's coming out of our pockets, so that goes to our present value. In this case, before we start making our equal payments, we've already made that $500 into the fund, but that came out of our pockets, so that's why we put our negative sign there. Okay. It pays 6% interest, so that's 6. Compounded, so we know that's our compounding periods per year. Look to the right, semi-annually is twice a year. She also deposits an additional $75 into the fund at the end of each month. So that tells us what her regular payments are. So if it's at the end of every month, her payments per year is 12, and her payment amount was 75, so we write negative 75 because that's what's coming out. Okay. Now for the N, it's our payments per year times years, and our payments per year were 12 times 10 years. So 12 times 10 gives us 120. So we put 120 up here for our N. And now our only unknown is the future value, which is good because it's asking at the end, if she does this for 10 years, how much will she have in the fund? Future value is how much you have in the fund at the end. So let's plug that into the TVM solver. So our N was 120. Our interest rate was 6. Our present value was negative 500, so we have to press our negative sign, negative 500. Our payment was 75, so we know we, again, out of pocket, we paid negative, we put negative 75. Future value is what we're trying to solve, so we're going to skip over that. Payments per year is 12, so that's okay. Compounding periods per year is 2. And now we're going to go up to future value because that's what we're trying to solve. Alpha, enter. $13,145, and we round that to the nearest cent. So at the end of 10 years, Tanya is going to have $13,145 in the fund. All right. So Jacques initially invests $200 into a high-interest savings account. He also deposits an additional $25 into the account at the end of each month. If he does this for 4 years, what interest rate compounded daily would he need to accumulate $1,650 in the account at the end of the 4-year period? Okay, so let's work through the information that we're given. Okay, so he initially invests $200 into the account, so that's an out-of-pocket expense. So any initial investment is a negative present value. So we put that in there. He also deposits an additional $25, so that's going to be his payment amount, into the account at the end of each month. So if he's doing it at the end of every month, his payments per year are going to be 12. If he does this for 4 years, so we know with our N, it's payments per year times years. And our payments per year are 12 times 4 years gives us 48. So our N is 48. What interest rate compounded? That's our key word, daily. So compounding period and daily is 365 days in a year. If he does this for 4 years, what interest rate compounded daily would he need to accumulate $1,650 in the account at the end of the 4-year period? So this is telling us right here what our future value is. It's saying, you know, after 4 years, we want $1,650 in the account. So that becomes our future value. So any target, if you have a problem that they're asking for like a target for the investment, that will be your future value. And the question is asking what interest rate And interest rate is the last one that's left blank, so that's good. So now we can just plug in to our TVM solver. And so our N was 48. Our interest rate is what we're trying to calculate. Present value was $200 initial investment, so we press the negative sign, 200. Our monthly payments out of pocket, so negative 25. Future value, we want it to be 1650, so 1650. Payments per year is 12, so that's good. Compounding per year is 365, so compounding per year 365. And now I want to solve for my interest, so I go back up to my interest and I click alpha, enter. And it's saying that 7.1% if we just round to one decimal. So Jacques will need 7.1% interest. Annual interest rate in order to save $1,650 over 4 years given these terms. Okay, so it's the same as loans. The only difference is the main thing to remember for investments is any initial investment, because it's coming out of the pocket, any initial investment goes into your present value, and make sure you put in your negative. Then you just fill in the rest of your information, make sure that these are correct before you press enter. For your N, remember whenever you enter for N, it's your payments per year times the number of years. If you have any questions, see your instructor.